My daughter told me I was overreacting to her disrespect, so I reacted once, cut off privileges, access, and payments, and never had to react again. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reddit Visuals. My daughter told me I was overreacting to her disrespect, so I reacted once, cut off privileges, access, and payments, and never had to react the same way again. I used to believe that good parents just keep absorbing disrespect because that's what unconditional love looks like. I was wrong. I'm a 49-year-old dad, and this is the story of how my daughter pushed me to the point where I stopped being the nice, easygoing parent and quietly turned off the entire lifestyle she'd built on my guilt and my bank account. If you've ever spent years bending over backwards for someone who acts like you're just an inconvenience with a credit card, this one might hit a little too close to home. I'll call my daughter Lily. She's 21 now. Her mom and I divorced when she was 8. I'm remarried now to an amazing woman named Sarah who's been in my life for the past 5 years, but this story is really about me, Lily, and the years I spent carrying guilt like a backpack full of rocks. The kind of guilt that makes you say yes when you should say no, pay for things you shouldn't, overlook behavior you'd never accept from anyone else. For years, I told myself I'd make it up to her by being the fun one, the easy one, the one who always showed up with solutions. I didn't realize I was teaching her a completely different lesson, that I had no boundaries. To understand how bad it got, you have to understand how good it started. Lily was a sweet kid, smart, funny, sharp. She'd curl up on the couch next to me, watching cartoons, asking questions about everything. When her mom, Emma, and I split, I got 50-50 custody on paper, but in reality, I took every extra day I could. School pickups, piano lessons, science fairs, you name it. I was there. I'd pack her lunches with sticky notes that said, "Knock 'em dead, kiddo." I kept a folder of every certificate she ever got. I was that dad. Money-wise, we weren't rich, but I did okay. I work in IT for a mid-sized company. Nothing glamorous, but steady. Emma, on the other hand, worked retail management jobs that paid just enough to keep her afloat, but never enough to really get ahead. She struggled with money constantly, which meant that when Lily needed something, field trip permission slips, new cleats, a graphing calculator, it usually fell to me. I didn't mind at first. It felt good to be the one who could provide. When Lily hit middle school, I started a separate savings account for her. At first, it was just a little college fund jar that turned into an actual account. Every bonus, every tax refund, I'd throw a bit in. I even skipped vacations a couple of years because I had this vision of paying for her tuition in full so she wouldn't start life in debt. It was my way of trying to give her something I never had. The first red flags were small and easy to ignore. Around 14, she started testing me the way teenagers do, snappy comments, rolling her eyes when I'd remind her to clean up. Normal stuff, I told myself. But there was a tone that started creeping in, this casual, dismissive way of talking to me that I never heard her use with anyone else. "Relax, Dad, you're so dramatic. It's not that deep. Why are you making a big deal out of nothing?" Each time I'd call it out, she'd brush it off like I was some fragile old man who couldn't take a joke. Emma didn't help. My ex has always had this "the customer is always right" attitude with Lily. She'd undermine me with little comments. If I told Lily she couldn't go to a party on a school night, Emma would roll her eyes and say, "Your father loves to overreact." If I brought up grades, she'd sigh and say, "You're stressing her out, she's not a robot." Slowly, the two of them developed this little team dynamic where I was the strict, unreasonable one and they were just coping with me. Emma's parenting style was all about being Lily's friend, not her parent, because she couldn't afford to buy her way into Lily's good graces the way she thought I could. Things escalated when Lily got her first job at 17. I helped her get a position at a local coffee shop. It wasn't glamorous, but I thought it'd teach her responsibility. We had an agreement. I'd match whatever she saved for her first car. She lasted 3 months before she quit because customers are annoying. She'd blow her paycheck on clothes and food, then come to me and say, "I need gas money. I can't get to school without it." When I'd remind her of the savings plan, she'd roll her eyes and say, "Why are you making this about money? You're the parent. I'm the kid." Against my better judgment, I bought her a used Honda anyway, put it in my name, insured it under my policy, and paid for the maintenance. I told myself it was about safety. I wanted her in something reliable, not some Craigslist death trap. I tried to attach rules to it. No driving friends around until I was sure she was responsible. Keep me updated on where she's going. Check in if she's staying out late. By senior year, those rules were a joke. She'd ghost my texts, come home past curfew, and leave fast food bags molding in the back seat. When I'd confront her, she'd smirk and say, "You worry too much. Stop overreacting." That word, overreacting. It became her favorite weapon. Then came college. She got into a decent state school about an hour away. Nothing crazy prestigious, but good. I was proud. I took her to campus tours, bought the ridiculous comforter she had to have from some influencer list, and stocked her mini fridge. I sat through orientation sessions about letting your child grow up and thought, okay, maybe this will be the reset. Maybe being on her own will make her appreciate what she has. I set up a monthly allowance for her. $400 for groceries, gas, and basic expenses. Nothing extravagant, but enough that she didn't have to work if she didn't want to, while she adjusted to college life. The deal was simple. I pay tuition, housing, and that allowance, and she treats school like a job. Pass your classes, keep me in the loop, and don't treat me like some annoying ATM with feet. First semester, communication started dropping off. At first, it was normal. She's busy, meeting people, living her life. I'd text and get a sorry, busy, love you hours later. Then the pattern shifted. I'd call, it'd go to voicemail. I'd get one-word responses. I'd ask how classes were going. She'd say, fine. If I pressed, she'd get annoyed. You don't need to know every detail, Dad. I'm an adult. Funny how I'd only get long, detailed messages when her balance ran low. Then it'd be paragraphs about how expensive everything is, how textbooks are a scam, how she didn't want to bother me, but the moment where my stomach truly dropped came courtesy of a notification I wasn't supposed to see. About 2 months into her first semester, I was helping her troubleshoot her new iPhone over FaceTime. She'd gotten it as a graduation gift and was having issues with her iCloud backup. I'm in IT, so she called me instead of making an appointment at the Apple Store. During the process, I had her log into iCloud on my old iPad so I could check her settings. That's when her messages started syncing to my device. I didn't even realize it until one night. About a week later, I was watching TV and a banner popped up on the iPad screen. Group chat name, Chaos Gremlins. I recognized one of the names as her roommate. The preview said, "My dad is blowing up my phone again." I wasn't trying to snoop. The first message just caught my eye because it mentioned me. It was from Lily. "My dad is blowing up my phone again because I didn't answer for a day. He is so overdramatic. Like, relax, boomer. I'm not dead. I'm just not obsessed with you." Followed by a crying, laughing emoji. My chest tightened. I should have stopped. I know that. But curiosity and hurt won. I scrolled up. There were weeks of conversations in there. Complaints about how controlling I was because I asked for a copy of her schedule. Comments about how old people shouldn't have kids if they're just going to be emotionally needy. Jokes about my job, my clothes, even the way I packed care packages. At one point, someone asked her how she could afford DoorDash so much, and she replied, "Divorce guilt wallet. He'd pay my rent twice if I told him I was sad enough." Divorce guilt wallet. I think I stopped breathing for a solid minute. I didn't explode. I didn't storm down to campus. I just turned off the iPad, sat in the dark for a while, and listened to my heart pound in my ears. This kid whom I'd missed sleep over, who I'd stayed up with when she had nightmares, who I'd worked weekends for so I could put a little more into her future, was bragging about how easy it was to manipulate me. I gave it a few days, tried to convince myself it was just kids being edgy, tried to remember every time she'd hugged me and said thank you, tried to forget the phrase divorce guilt wallet. But I couldn't. It sat in my chest like a stone. I decided to bring it up next time she came home. A few weeks later, she came back for a long weekend. Walked in like she was visiting an Airbnb, dropped her laundry bag by the door, and asked what was for dinner. We did the whole small talk thing for a while. Sarah made herself scarce, sensing this was something I needed to handle alone. Then, after we ate, I asked if we could talk. Lily sighed like I'd asked her to donate a kidney. "Okay, Dad. What now?" I told her I'd seen some of her messages. I owned the fact that I'd read more than I should have once I realized what was happening. I told her the truth, that it hurt to see myself described that way, that I felt used. I expected maybe embarrassment, maybe anger at the invasion of privacy. What I got was something much colder. She crossed her arms, leaned back in the chair, and said, "You were overreacting. It was just jokes. Everyone vents about their parents. You shouldn't have been reading my messages anyway. That's the real problem here." I said, "Lily, calling me a divorce guilt wallet isn't venting. That's how you actually see me." She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, there you go again, making everything some big betrayal. You wonder why I don't tell you stuff? You take everything so personally. You're overreacting to some texts. It's not that deep." I felt something click off inside me in that moment. Not rage, not sadness, something quieter, like a switch shifting from try harder to we're done here. I asked her as calmly as I could, "Do you respect me, Lily?" She shrugged. "You're my dad. Why does everything have to be about respect with you? Can't you just be chill?" There it was. Years of bending over backwards have been minimized to be chill. I realized she wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing what I provided. And the worst part? I had taught her she didn't have to distinguish between the two. So I stopped arguing, stopped explaining, stopped asking if she saw my side. I told her she could head back to campus whenever she wanted. I said I needed to think. She shrugged, grabbed her keys, and left a pile of dirty clothes sitting in the hallway. Sarah helped me bag them up later without saying a word, just squeezed my shoulder as she passed. That night, I opened my laptop. I pulled up every account her life touched, the college payment portal, the rent transfer to her off-campus apartment she was moving into next semester, the credit card I'd given her for emergencies, the car insurance policy, the phone plan, the streaming services, even the little $9.99 note app subscription I'd been paying for because she'd once told me she needed it for school. Then I opened my budget spreadsheet and looked at the Lily column. It was more than I'd let myself admit. Tuition, $11,000 a semester after scholarships, rent starting next semester, $850 a month. Allowance, $400 a month. Car insurance, gas, and random Venmo transfers when she'd send a sad face emoji. Over $45,000 a year, easy. I sat there thinking, if a stranger spoke to me the way she does, I wouldn't give them $1. But because we share DNA, I'm supposed to bankroll my own disrespect? I didn't want to blow up her life out of anger. That would make me just as reactive as she claimed I was. I wanted something else, clarity. So I made a plan, and I did something I had never done before as a parent. I put it in writing. I drafted a letter. Not a dramatic manifesto, just a clear layout of expectations and boundaries. It said, "Lily, you're an adult now. Adults have relationships, not one-way pipelines. I have happily supported you financially out of love, not obligation. But love without respect turns into resentment. And I refuse to build a relationship with you on that foundation. I have seen how you speak about me to your friends. I have heard you call me a divorce guilt wallet and act like my effort is something you're entitled to. When I tried to talk to you, you dismissed my feelings and told me I was overreacting. So I am going to react once, clearly, calmly, and permanently. Starting next semester, I will no longer pay your rent. Your allowance will stop. The emergency credit card will be canceled. Your phone will be moved off my plan in 60 days. You are welcome to start your own. The car will remain in my possession. If you want a vehicle, you can buy one in your name. Tuition. I will pay for one more semester. After that, I am done. If you value college, you can apply for aid, work, or take out loans as many adults do. None of this is punishment. It is alignment. I will no longer fund a lifestyle where I am treated like an inconvenience. I will always be emotionally available for you if you want to talk respectfully. I will not be financially available to someone who sees me as an ATM. If you decide at some point that you want a relationship built on mutual respect, my door is open. Until then, I wish you the best as an independent adult. Love, Dad. I printed it, folded it carefully, and mailed it to her dorm instead of texting. I wanted it to land with the weight of paper, not get swallowed in a thread of memes and TikToks. Then I went into my accounts and set everything I'd promised in motion. Canceled the credit card, effective immediately. Scheduled the last tuition payment for the current semester. Set a calendar reminder to remove her from my phone plan in 60 days. Contacted the apartment complex she was planning to move into and told them I would not be guaranteeing the lease or making payments. I even called my insurance agent and told him that, effective immediately, the car would only be driven by me and kept at my address, and that I wanted to keep it insured until I physically had it back, but Lily would no longer be a covered driver after I retrieved it. It felt terrifying and weirdly calm, like I was finally putting the fire extinguisher down instead of running around trying to spray every spark she lit. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. I knew because I tracked it. By Thursday afternoon, my phone started lighting up. First texts, then calls, then FaceTime. I let it sit until I was ready. When I finally picked up that evening, she didn't even say hello. "What the hell is this letter?" she snapped. "Are you seriously cutting me off because of some texts? You're actually insane." I took a breath. "No, I'm aligning my actions with how you treat me." "Oh my God, Dad, you are overreacting so hard right now. You're going to ruin my life because you got your feelings hurt?" "I'm not ruining anything," I said. "I'm just stepping out of a role you clearly don't value. You're an adult. Adults pay for their own lives." She laughed, this sharp, disbelieving sound. "You can't do this right now. My lease is about to start. My phone is on your plan. My classes." "I already told you," I interrupted, keeping my voice steady. "I've covered what I said I would cover through the end of this term. After that, you need a plan that doesn't involve me being your divorce guilt wallet." There was a pause. Then, "You read more of my texts. I read enough to understand how you see me, and I watched how you reacted when I brought it up." "You're so manipulative," she hissed. "You always do this. You make everything a test. You love control more than you love me." That one stung. It really did. But I'd spent years folding every accusation into myself and apologizing for things I hadn't done. I wasn't doing that this time. "I love you enough to stop enabling you," I said. "You'll either hate me for it or thank me later. Either way, I'll be okay." She hung up. The next attack came from Emma. My ex called me that night like a siren at full blast. "What are you thinking, cutting her off like that? She's 21. She's a girl. She's vulnerable. Do you know how hard it is out there?" "Yep," I said, "because I've been working out there for 30 years. "That's not the point," she snapped. "You're punishing her for venting. You're taking everything personally. She's just a kid." "She's an adult who calls me a wallet when I'm not in the room and then tells me I'm overreacting when I say it hurts," I replied. "I'm not punishing her. I'm ending a one-sided arrangement." Emma tried a new angle. "Do you know how this is going to look to our families? To her friends? You're going to be the dad who abandoned his daughter in college." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because of how predictable it was. "They've already decided I'm the villain, Em. I might as well stop paying for the privilege." She called me selfish. She called me cruel. She brought up every mistake I'd ever made in our marriage as proof that I was repeating patterns. I refused to get dragged backward into that swamp. I ended the call with, "You're welcome to help her if you think I'm being unreasonable. You work, you have income. Nobody's stopping you from opening your own wallet." Funny thing, Emma's financial generosity dried up about 3 minutes after she realized this wasn't a negotiation. Turned out her retail management salary that she'd always complained about suddenly became the excuse for why she couldn't possibly cover what I'd been handling. The months that followed were messy, not gonna lie. Lily tried everything. She sent long, rage-filled paragraphs about how I'd blindsided her. She had friends send me DMs calling me abusive. At one point, one of her little chaos gremlins made a TikTok about boomer dads who cut their kids off to feel powerful. A cousin sent it to me with, "Is this about you?" I recognized my own kitchen in the background from a video she'd filmed at my house months ago. I didn't respond, not online, not in comments. I refused to become content in my child's villain dad narrative. The only thing I did was send one group email to the extended family, calmly explaining my decision in plain language, that I loved my daughter, that I'd funded her life generously for years, that I discovered she openly disrespected and used me, and that I'd chosen to stop paying for disrespect while remaining emotionally open if she ever wanted a real relationship. I said I wasn't asking anyone to pick sides, but I wouldn't discuss it further. Some people quietly wrote back saying they understood. Others stayed silent. A couple of them took Lily's Instagram stories at face value and sent me these sanctimonious, as a parent I could never messages. I added them to a mental list titled, People Whose Opinions Don't Matter. Meanwhile, the real consequences started to land. First hit, the car. I'd kept it insured under my policy while it was still on campus, but I'd made it clear in my letter it would remain in my possession. I gave her 2 weeks' notice, bring it home by X date, or I'll come get it. She ignored me. So 2 weeks later, on a Saturday morning, Sarah and I drove down to campus. I'd arranged with campus security ahead of time, showed them the title with my name on it, and they escorted me to the parking lot. I used my spare key, got in the Honda, and drove it home. Sarah followed in our other car. I texted Lily once I was on the highway. The car is back home. The bus system runs every 15 minutes, and the service is a 24/7 service. Good luck. She responded with a string of expletives. I didn't reply. Second hit, the phone. 60 days after I sent the letter, her line dropped off my plan exactly as I'd promised. I expected another explosion. Instead, I got a single email. Really? You canceled my phone? That's insane. I replied once, You are welcome to start your own plan. Adults pay their own phone bills. That was it. She figured it out, got a cheap prepaid plan, complained about it online, of course. Third hit, housing. When the lease term for her dream apartment was about to start, the complex contacted her directly, saying they needed a guarantor signature and the first month's rent. She called me sobbing, saying all her friends had their parents co-signing, and she was going to look stupid if she couldn't move in with them. I told her I was willing to reconsider help if we could sit down and have an honest conversation about respect, boundaries, and what a real relationship looks like. She screamed that I was holding her hostage and hung up. She ended up finding a cheaper room situation with some random roommates off Craigslist. Not ideal, but she survived. I watched from a distance as the Instagram posts changed. Less brunch photos and haul videos, more study grind and hustle quotes. Fewer new outfits and concert tickets. More, anyone know of places hiring? Stories. I'd be lying if I said a petty part of me didn't feel vindicated, but mostly, I felt sad. Grief, almost. Grief for the version of our relationship I'd spent 2 decades trying to build, only to realize I'd been the only one holding it up. Sarah was amazing through all of it. She never once said, I told you so, even though she'd gently suggested years ago that Lily was taking advantage. She just held space for me to process, made sure I ate, and reminded me that setting boundaries wasn't the same as being cruel. About 10 months after I sent that letter, something shifted. It started with a knock on my door on a random Tuesday evening. I opened it expecting a delivery. Instead, there was Lily, standing on the porch with a backpack and a face that looked older and more tired than I remembered. She didn't storm in. She didn't start with accusations. She just said, Can we talk? In a small, shaky voice I hadn't heard since she was a little kid with a scraped knee. We sat at the kitchen table, same one she'd rolled her eyes at me across a year earlier. Sarah quietly made tea and then disappeared upstairs to give us space. Lily wrapped her hands around the mug and stared at it for a long time before she spoke. I almost got fired today, she said. I'm working at a campus bookstore now, and my manager told me if I'm late one more time, I'm done. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Turns out, bosses don't think it's cute when you call them controlling for asking where you've been. I stayed quiet. Let her talk. I had to sell my PlayStation and my iPad last month to make rent, she continued. My boyfriend broke up with me because he said I had too much drama and he didn't want to deal with someone who can't get their life together. She swallowed hard. Mom keeps saying she'll help, but then she's suddenly broke every time I actually ask. She told me I should just apologize to you and fix this, like it's that simple. She finally looked up at me. Her eyes were red and puffy. I hated you for a long time, she said. I told everyone you were punishing me, that you cared more about being right, than being my dad. I posted about it. I made you look like a monster. It was easier than admitting I was the one who messed up. Hearing my kid say that out loud did something to my chest. There was that knee-jerk parental instinct to say, "Don't be so hard on yourself." But I caught it. Because honestly, she had messed up, and she needed to own it. She took a shaky breath. You were right about the texts, about the divorce guilt wallet thing. I did talk about you like that. I made fun of you to my friends because it made me feel cool, like I had you figured out and under control. Tears started falling. And when you confronted me, I panicked. I didn't want to face what I'd become, so I turned it back on you. Made you the bad guy for caring. She wiped her face with her sleeve. I am so sorry for all of it. I didn't immediately accept. I let the apology sit in the air for a minute, gave it weight. Do you understand why I did what I did? I asked quietly. She nodded. Because I wasn't just being a bratty teenager. I was using you and treating you like garbage while I did it. You tried to talk to me, and I shut you down and called you dramatic. You had every right to walk away. We talked for a long time that night, about disrespect, about how Emma's parenting style and constant undermining had warped Lily's sense of what was acceptable, about my own mistakes, the times I'd over-explained instead of just saying no, the years I'd tried to buy peace instead of demanding respect. I told her something I'd never said out loud, that every time she dismissed my feelings as overreacting, it took me right back to the day Emma left and told me I was too sensitive, too needy, too much, that I'd spent years trying to be smaller, quieter, less demanding, hoping nobody would leave again. We were both quiet after that. Then Lily said, voice breaking, I made you feel that way in your own house. God, Dad, I'm so sorry. She asked if there was any way I could help her again. Not in the old entitled tone, in this hesitant, embarrassed voice. She offered things I'd never heard from her. I'll get a payment plan for next semester if you can co-sign. I'll move back here for a while if you want and pay rent. I'll show you my budget every month. We can go to therapy together if that would help. I thought about it. I thought about my letter about reacting once. I realized something. Reacting once doesn't mean revisiting anything. It means never going back to what was broken. You can move back for 6 months, I said slowly. You'll pay a small monthly rent, $200. You'll keep working at least part-time. You'll contribute to household chores. And we're going to family therapy together, both of us. You treat me like a roommate you respect, not a servant you scream at. And if those conditions don't work for you, that's okay. But this offer doesn't stay open forever. She nodded so fast I thought her neck might snap. Yes, all of that. I'll do it. And school? She asked, hesitant. Tuition? We'll figure that out together, I said. But I'm not paying for you to coast. We meet with a financial aid advisor. You apply for every scholarship and grant available. You pick a major and commit to it. If you skip classes or drop out because you don't feel like it, you're on your own. This is your education, not mine. She agreed to everything. I watched her move back in slowly over the next couple of weeks. No huge hauls of new stuff, just her essentials. She cleaned up after herself without being asked. She left notes on the fridge. Working late tonight, leftovers are in the blue container. Can I cook dinner on Saturday? Therapy is at 10 a.m., right? It wasn't some movie montage where everything magically healed overnight. We went to therapy together, and it was hard, really hard. We still fought sometimes. She still occasionally slipped into that sarcastic tone. I still had moments where I wanted to just throw my hands up and walk away. But now there was something we'd never had before. Mutual accountability. She knew I wouldn't just absorb her disrespect anymore. And I knew she was actually trying to change, not just performing for her next favor. The best moment came about, 4 months after she moved back in. We were in a therapy session, and our therapist asked Lily how she'd describe me now compared to a year ago. She thought about it for a long moment and said, before, I thought my dad was this overdramatic, oversensitive control freak who wanted to manage my whole life and make me feel guilty. Now I realize he was someone who loved me so much that he was terrified of losing me, and that fear made him say yes to everything, even when he should have said no. And when he finally set boundaries, I hated him for it, because boundaries meant I had to grow up. She looked at me, eyes wet. He chose himself, and that was the best thing he ever did for both of us. I'm not gonna lie. I teared up like an idiot right there in the therapist's office. Today, things are good. Not perfect, but genuinely good. Lily has her own phone plan that she pays for. She covers her own gas. She's working 2 part-time jobs while finishing school. She's on a payment plan for tuition, and I help with some of it, but we discuss it first, and sometimes I say no, and she accepts it. We have dinner together a couple of times a week. She asks my advice about things. Real things, not just, can I have money things. I don't know if that group chat still exists. Probably. But I don't need to know what's in it anymore. Maybe she talks about me differently now. Maybe not. The difference is, I'm not building my sense of self-worth on whether she validates me behind my back. I'm building it on whether she shows up and treats me with respect to my face. Sarah says I seem lighter now, less anxious, less like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. She's right. The act of saying, this is unacceptable, and I'm stepping back, gave me something I didn't even know I'd lost, my self-respect. So now I hand it over to you, internet jury. Was I an asshole for cutting off my own daughter financially after reading those messages and being told I was overreacting? Was pulling the plug on her lifestyle cruel, or was it the boundary she needed to finally grow up? What would you have done if you found out your kid called you a divorce guilt wallet and then acted like you were the problem for being hurt by it? Let me know your verdict in the comments. I really want to hear how other parents and even other kids see this situation. And if this story made you think about your own boundaries or relationships, please hit that like button and subscribe to Reddit Visuals. It really helps the channel grow and brings you more real stories like this one. Thanks for watching.